But first, we are going to hear some opening remarks from one of our SFI volunteers. Erin Anhalt has been an active duty Navy spouse for over 21 years. She is a mother of 3 children with special needs, and she is a member of the Choctaw Nation in Oklahoma. Erin has become a dear friend of mine and a fierce advocate for a lot of the issues that we share. So Erin, the virtual floor is yours if you'd like to join now.
Thank you, Sarah. You made me cry a little. I'm so happy to be here today and to give the opening remarks for this panel of military spouses who are using their voices and skills to enrich America. I especially am thankful to be here with Representative Cheryl, who has done such great work in New Jersey. We are all better for the work that the Congresswoman and our panelists have done, and I'm sure many military spouses across the globe will join me in saying thank you. I love America. It sounds cheesy, I know, but I do. I love her hope and vision, and I love the freedom that we have here. I also recognize her flaws. It's because I love America that I feel compelled to speak out about her flaws and inequalities. It's because I love America that I cannot remain silent as we make mistakes that harm our fellow citizens and people around the world. It is because I have spent my entire adult life, over 21 years, serving our country as a military spouse, that I feel even more compelled to speak out and use my political voice and vote to correct the wrongs of where we've been and where we are going. Military spouses are too often depicted by the media in a very narrow way. First of all, we are almost always depicted as cisgender women married to men, or we're either greeting our husbands on the bow of a ship after deployment, we're attending a sporting event where our service member surprises us during halftime, or we're being handed a flag graveside by a Marine. We are expected to fill the role of passive travelers whose lives revolve around our spouses. That's not who we are. We are a complex and diverse group of people. We aren't a monolith, not by a long shot. I've known military spouses who are women and men, spouses who are gay and transgender, white, Black, Latinx, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, and Sikh. I have spouse friends who are stay-at-home Christian moms who homeschool their kids, and they don't really wear denim jumpers anymore. I don't think that's still fashionable, but I also have friends who are passionately secular, and they intentionally enroll their kids in the most diverse public school every time they move. In 1830, the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek was signed, and my ancestors started the walk from Mississippi to Oklahoma on the Trail of Tears. Ashatasia. Yes, I am Choctaw. I am a citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. My ancestors were robbed of their homelands and forced on a brutal journey from Mississippi to Oklahoma. My grandmother was taken from her family and sent to an Indian boarding school where she was prohibited from speaking her language and subjected to abuses too horrifying to recount. The vision the government had of Indian boarding school was to kill the Indian and save the man. It is because of my family history that I am firmly grounded in the understanding that my country has deep flaws that need to be mourned and reckoned with. I also strongly believe in the hope that we have the promise of freedom and the opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity that is lacking in too many places around the world. My American story goes far back beyond the first European settlers, and it was later enriched by Irish, Italian, and Welsh ancestors. My roots in this land are deep, and I am both confident in the future and aware of the blemishes of the past and present. It has been suggested for years that military spouses need to be silent about political issues. We've been told that it could be harmful to our spouses' careers, or that we need to stay silent so we don't cause any harm or waves in our communities. However, that silence is most often suggested by those who benefit the most from the status quo. I don't have that luxury. I know as a Native American that if we do not speak up, we risk being erased entirely. As a military spouse, I've seen how not using our political voices has resulted in our absence from important political conversations. We have an obligation to reclaim our presence and use it for the benefit of our families and our country. This goes far beyond just voting, though voting is fundamental, but not every military spouse can vote. We have many military spouses who are immigrants, who are just as patriotic and loving toward America as we are. They just can't vote. For the rest of us, it is not the only political activity we should embrace. Military spouses have a wide array of experiences that enrich America and make us better. We are impacted by foreign policy decisions and military actions, and we must demand a reinvestment in diplomacy first foreign policy and a reinvestment in the State Department. We are impacted by burn pits that have left our spouses with debilitating illnesses or cancer, and we end up being their primary caregivers. We are impacted by our spouses being sent to wars, often to the same war over and over and over, only to watch them suffer from PTSD for years, too often losing their lives to this trauma. We are impacted by the inequality that is present in schools, and when we have to move every few years and help our children adjust to schools that are unequal. Our voices are critical to all of these discussions, and our stories paint a more complete picture. Our experiences and understandings of what happens in the aftermath of choices made by those in power should be shaping the decisions they are making. We owe it to our country, our service members, our fellow military spouses, to advocate for better wages so none of us are living in poverty, to advocate for better schools across the country so that our children aren't getting wildly uneven educations, to advocate for stronger housing regulations across the board so that no Americans are living in homes infested with mold, to advocate for gender equality so female service members in particular are no longer subject to sexual harassment or assault at work, to advocate for LGBT rights so all families can choose if they so desire, to advocate for racial equality so that our Black and brown service members and their families aren't fearful when they get pulled over by the police. We must use our voices to call for diplomacy and peace so our spouses and children are safe. Military spouses protect and defend the Constitution just like our service members do. And we take that responsibility very seriously. And it's time we start raising our voices just as seriously. Thank you again to Sarah for your vision in starting an organization that is designed to empower military spouses and ensure we're equipped for the responsibility at hand. And Kate, who's working alongside making all of this possible. Your vision and hard work make all of this better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erin. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us today.